haven't played a board game in a long time. Pop, you read the rules while I make some popcorn.
Let's see here. We need to know what type of game we want to play, how many players, who's gonna play. Interesting.
That's a boring game, Tommy.
I don't know, Chucky. Maybe to win, you have to make everyone be bored.
Silly babies. It's not a boring game. It's called a board game because you play it on a board.
Huh? Where was I? Oh, yes. It looks like you have to decide a few things before you can play.
Hello everyone and welcome to Rugrats Scavenger Hunt, a board-based video game, though I would hesitate to call it a Mario Party clone because there's a much greater emphasis on strategy and less emphasis on blind luck. I played this game with my two siblings. I played as Tommy. As soon as I select Tommy. My brother played as Chucky, and my sister played as Lil, and the fourth player is a computer.
Hey look, the stuff I ordered from the shopping network arrived.
What did you get?
They're replicas of ancient Aztec idols. They only cost 3 payments of $19.95 each.
Stu, dear, can you come help me in the kitchen?
Coming!
You know, those statues remind me of the time I was exploring Aztec ruins with a group of archaeologists back in 1906. I remember we had to hack through miles of jungle before we reached the Temple of Coca-Cola. Once inside, we...
Those statues are scary looking.
You should be scared, Chucky, because those statues are cursed. If they were to break, you babies would be sorry.
Oops!
Find all the pieces of the broken statue before Angelica finds hers, or you will be trapped here in the Temple of Coca-Cola forever.
So welcome to the first board in this game and arguably the most interesting board, Angelica's Temple. This is a rare example of a cooperative board game where the goal is to find all the pieces before Angelica finds her pieces. We have pieces from all the statues to find while Angelica has her own separate statue. Cookies are a kind of currency in this game. We can spend them to get more energy back before we pass out, or spend them on toy chests in order to get cards that do special things. How we actually find the treasure pieces is by landing on these magnifying glasses, and when we land on a magnifying glass we can search the scenery in the level for a piece. But sometimes we find different items which allow us to do various things, such as move in any direction when we spin. These items add a greater variety and strategy to the game, because normally we can't move backwards, but because Chucky got the compass, now he can move anywhere on the board. We have to find many pieces, but Angelica only has to find 4. Thankfully, while searching, we can find one of Angelica's pieces and keep it for ourselves. Angelica can take the piece back if she finds us, but we can just stay away from her ideally. Working together on this map is essential. You need to coordinate where you search, how you're searching, and where Angelica is so you can stay away from her at all times, unless there's a very specific circumstance where you need her nearby. The NPCs move across the board with their own dice rolls, and Angelica's the only one that can also search. Aside from the compass, another item we can find is a screwdriver, which we're about to get here, and this lets us transport from one end of the map to another simply by going through a secret passageway. It opens up more possibilities, is what I'm saying. Important to note is that if you already have an item, your baby will simply put the item back because they will not take duplicates, and so the item will remain there for someone else to grab. But Chucky didn't have the screwdriver, so he gets to keep that one. Now, I mentioned earlier that you can pass out. You might notice the Z's up in the UI right there. If those run out, your baby passes out completely, and then you have to make your way back to the map from the crib room, which you'll see sometime. You can spend cookies to keep yourself from falling asleep, or you can use a catnap square. There's also a square that sends you immediately to the crib room, though this isn't always bad, as you can look at it as a kind of teleport. Speaking of cookies, it's not just cookie squares that can get you cookies, but if Grandpa Lou runs into one of the babies, he will also give them cookies. We're going to see Angelica search for the first time on this turn, and she's going to find one of the baby statue pieces instead of one of her pieces. But when she finds a baby statue piece, she puts it back. She does not get to keep it. Now, there is a way for her to take your statue pieces, and she has to run into you while you don't have cookies. That's the only way she can take a piece from you. Now here I'm forced to land on a crib square, and this will take me back to the crib room.
How did you get here?
This forces me out of the map for a turn, but as a plus side, I can enter the map again from anywhere I like. So even though it takes a turn, you can still look at it as a kind of teleport. It's not all bad. And here's a dill space. I feel like I shouldn't talk about the dill space. So you may have noticed the final NPC was Spike. If a baby manages to land on Spike, then they can ride around on Spike and choose where they want to stop. Normally they have to go the full amount of spaces, but with Spike, they can choose where to stop on the board. And this time the search is going to yield another item. This one lets her search twice whenever she lands on a search square. Probably the most useful item for this board in particular. It's very good. Phil's got this room all to himself, but the CPUs seem to have an uncanny ability to know where the pieces are, so, you know, that's fine. Hopefully you're seeing, this game actually has quite a few mechanics and nuances to it. Okay, we're in the crib room, and we can choose to re-enter the map from anywhere. We can enter the red room, gray room, or middle room. We're gonna head back to the gray room. And you can't hear it, but my siblings and I were constantly discussing where we should be searching and what room we should be in to optimize our chances of finding all the pieces before Angelica finds all her pieces. Though she would need to find us in order to get her piece back first. The ability to move any direction on the map, the fact that there are NPCs to help you out, the ability to memorize where the search locations are and what items they have, and the ability to use cookies to spend on a variety of things, they all add an element of strategy to the game that makes it feel much less luck-based. Landed on Grandpa, so instead of losing cookies, she got cookies. Which is very nice. So earlier I mentioned it was possible for Angelica to take one of your pieces. How you get that back is you have to run into Angelica while you have cookies, and then you can take the piece back from her. Just don't touch Angelica while you don't have cookies. Normally she takes your cookies, but if you don't have cookies, she'll take a piece. So that's very important to remember. Of course, the likelihood of you running into her when you don't have cookies is minimal, but it can happen. I haven't ever really in my life seen anyone say anything about this game, which I guess is fair, because, like, even if you played this as a kid, you probably wouldn't think it's too memorable or anything. But I was kind of shocked going back to it that there was way more effort put into this game than was necessary. Like, they created a lot of unique mechanics and ideas for a board game that didn't need to exist at all. They made one of the very few cooperative board games, especially in video game format. The NPCs are kind of unique and fun. And the idea of having an NPC around that can interact with your players in the sense that they take away their objectives and you can take away her objectives is also really fun. It's just kind of a really cool game in general. And this is only one of the boards. There are still a couple mechanics I think I have yet to mention, one of them being that if you land on the same space as another baby, you can search even if there's no magnifying glass on that space, and I think we're about to see that here with Phil. But yes, I think you're getting the idea of this board. It's all about coordination, carefully planning where you do and don't search, making sure you're in the right room at the right time, generally staying away from Angelica so she doesn't take your cookies, and going near Angelica when she has a piece of yours, because that's the only time you'd want to be near her. My siblings and I also had this game when we were very young, but we were too little, I think, to appreciate all the game mechanics and understand what was happening, and the idea that we needed to cooperate instead of work against each other. Tommy put that back because he already had one, which means another baby can look there and find it if they want. And even searches that don't yield positive results can be helpful, because it shows the other players where they should and should not search. As a lover of board games and card games, there's an art to making sure that there's strategy involved in addition to any random element you might include. And I think Rugrats does this exceptionally well. Like, the ability to move anywhere on the board and coordinate with other players in addition to the power-ups you get that make things easier generally just gives you more options and makes that excuse me, it makes it feel like you're actually doing something, like you're having some sort of intentional outcome on what's going on. And this game in particular includes a lot of ideas I haven't seen in other board games, such as having an energy meter. Well, I guess it's like, you know, the Z's are what I'm talking about. A currency that not only lets you buy things as you might in other board games, but also allows you to refill said energy meter. The ability to search in the environment for various objects. Now, I know this is very limited environmental interaction, but it's still more environmental interaction than a lot of video games, and board games in general. A lot of the time, the environment is just for show. Can't do anything with it. But in this game, it's integral to the experience. And in terms of presentational flair, there are a lot of contextualized voice clips for almost everything. There are contextualized voice clips for when your baby is sleepy and about to pass out, for every single space your baby lands on, for basically every action your baby performs in the entire game. What I'm saying is I kinda hope you get why this game rocks. It's not only a really, really good board game, but they put way more effort into almost every aspect of the game than they needed to. They could have easily made this game so much lower effort. But someone on the team, probably multiple people, really knew how to design board games, and games in general. And they took that knowledge with them in an extreme way. Now, I did mention earlier that you can spend cookies on things in toy chests. The toy chests contain cards that do various things for the board. In this map, the toy chest lets you move Angelica either away from you or towards you, and the cards cost 6 cookies each. So it's got card game elements in it too, but only in a technical sense, because the cards don't really act like cards from other card games. But yeah, that's basically all the nuances and mechanics of this particular map, and I'm not going to make you sit around for the next 10 minutes to watch us get the rest of the pieces, so I hope you saw why this map rocks and why this game has quite a bit going for it.
I found a piece. I did it! I found a piece! I did it!
My statue!
It wasn't me!
It takes baby power to break a curse.
Yay!